Hello?
We haven't begun yet.
You can hear me? Can you hear me, Sam?
Yes, I can hear you, but we haven't started yet.
Okay.
Okay, we can begin the Planning Committee meeting of Akron City Council. You ready? All right, cool. I'd like to request a roll call, please.
Fusco?
Aye.
Kamer? Connor? Boyes?
Aye.
Hannah?
Aye.
All committee members are present except for Councilman Kamer.
Thank you. At this point, I'd like to request a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? The ayes have it on that piece. So at this juncture, we have a number of items that's up for a public hearing. And our procedures will simply be that we will, our clerk, Sarah Viviano, will read in the conditional use request. After that point, what we will then do is our planning staff will report out in terms of their recommendation to council. After that procedure, we'll then ask if there's anybody here that wishes to testify before the committee to be sworn in by Sarah Viviano, our clerk of council. After that point, we will then open up the public hearing portion and ask for comments from the community. We respectfully request your address and your name before that time. Open it up, and then we'll close up the public hearing portion, open up the questions from the committee members, and then we'll open up the questions to all of council. We'll repeat that process this evening at 5 o'clock, in which this will be conducted in front of all of City Council. After that, the only significant difference is the committee will make a recommendation to all of council, either in favor, against, or to table an item, and that's take time for future consideration. And then all of council will listen to that recommendation. So those are the procedures that we take. We certainly appreciate everybody coming down, and thank you for your input, and look forward to hearing from you. And with that, I would like to request the first item that's up for a public hearing. Sarah Viviano, could you please read that in? Thank you.
The first item up for public hearing today is an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct a warehouse and distribution center at 2322 Manchester Road. I do want to point out to the committee that there's a substitute offered as an amendment for this. It is shown as item number 8 under your new legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. I need a, do you have an extra pen? Do you have an extra pen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. AMS 2025 BTS Akron, Ohio is requesting permission to construct an Amazon warehouse and distribution facility at this property. The petitioner is proposing to build a 387,860 square foot building measuring 410 feet in width and 946 feet in length with a height of 43 feet. The finished floor of the building will be set approximately 10 feet below the street level grade of Manchester Road. The building will be constructed of painted concrete wall panels with high windows on the Manchester Road elevation and tall windows at the northeast and northwest corners of the building. Facility will be served by 2 parking lots, a 155 space lot on the north side of the building, serving local delivery vehicles, and a 282 space parking lot on the south side of the building for employees who will be working within the building. Parking lot and site lighting will be shielded to prevent light spillover onto surrounding properties. The facility will contain 19 truck docks and 4 truck trailer parking spaces and room for truck parking expansion, all located at the northwest corner of the building. The site will have 2 driveway entrances, one towards the northern end of the site, opposite Westmoreland Street, to serve the local delivery vehicles, and one on the southern border of the site, opposite Stanford Street, to serve employees and semi-truck deliveries. To buffer pedestrians from the traffic on Manchester Road, the petitioner will replace the existing 10-foot wide concrete sidewalk on the west side of Manchester Road that is directly adjacent to the roadway, with a 5-foot wide sidewalk and 5-foot tree lawn with street trees. An 8-foot high, 525-foot long sound wall will be made of Trex composite fence material, and a landscape buffer will be provided by the petitioner along the north property line adjacent to residential properties on Allenford Street. Per the petitioner's noise impact analysis, the sound wall is expected to reduce noise levels to below the maximum allowed under Summit County noise ordinances. Per the traffic study commissioned by the petitioner, the proposed facility is projected to generate 3,774 vehicle trips on a typical weekday, including 294 employee vehicles, 1,581 delivery vehicles, and 12 semi-trucks in and out of the facility per day. Employees would occupy the facility 24 hours a day. Outgoing deliveries would occur between 3 a.m. and 7 p.m. Per ODOT, the average daily traffic count on Manchester Road is 11,695 vehicles. The additional vehicles from the facility would increase the total count on Manchester Road to 15,469 vehicles a day. The general conclusion of the traffic study is that even though traffic counts will be increased, the facility would not have significant impact on traffic capacity of Manchester Road. Also, it would not have a detrimental impact on the level of service at the I-277, US 224 ramps, or the Wilbeth Road and Waterloo Road intersections. However, several modifications to the configuration of Manchester Road were recommended in the traffic study to reduce traffic delays and improve overall safety. These modifications include adjustments to signal timing at the Wilbeth Road and Waterloo Road intersections to reduce existing congestion, and possible changes to the traffic striping and turn lanes on Manchester Road to ensure the safety of all users. City of Akron Traffic Engineering will continue to work with the petitioner and ODOT to refine these modifications. Several modifications to the boundaries of the property are proposed. Petitioner is working on an agreement with neighbors to transfer a strip of land approximately 40 feet deep by 250 feet long along the northern Corber Avenue property line to 3 property owners whose backyards abut the project site and are enclosed by an existing fence. Also, the City of Akron proposes to sell 1.5-acre vacant parcel located on the southern boundary of the property to the petitioner because that parcel is no longer needed for municipal purposes. The sale of this land would allow the city to divest itself of maintenance obligations while returning the landlocked parcel to tax rolls. The petitioner is adding a sound wall to lessen the impact of development on the neighborhood. The proposed Amazon warehouse and distribution facility will help achieve the goals of the Land Use and Development Guide Plan by promoting the economic viability of the Kenmore neighborhood and the city through the creation of jobs and revenue-generating business activity. And both the planning staff and planning commission recommend approval subject to conditions. Thank you.
Oops. I'd like to request that Sarah Biviano please swear in any individuals that wish to testify before the committee.
If you're here to provide testimony for this public hearing, could you please stand and raise your right hand?
Testify.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, "I do."
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah Biviano. At this point, we'll open up the public hearing portion and ask if there's anyone that wishes to testify before the committee. Please provide for us your name and address. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Cody Garrison. Address is 8888 Keystone Crossing, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46240. I'm with the AMS entity that was just mentioned here. Thank you all for the time today. I'll give a few just additional items, and then, of course, can take as many questions as folks have. There is a presentation up on the screen. I believe there's also a booklet in front of you, so you can go ahead and keep rolling through there.
Is this going to take a long time?
Kyle, is it changing for you? There it goes, sorry. So quick on the agenda, I'll mention history of the site. I'll try and do a brief description of the operations of the site, mention a few different development pieces, a few things operationally that we're looking at, and then also, like was mentioned, things we're trying to do to dampen the potential effects to any nearby folks. So the first item on, a quick introduction. So again, Cody Garrison with Ambrose Property Group. Ambrose is industrial developer out of Indianapolis, Indiana. We do this type of work all throughout the country for many, many clients. So this item and concept and what we're working through here is normal for us and is in our day to day. Into a brief history of the site. I think everybody knows this. This is the formal Akron Baptist Temple site. Roughly 29 acres. Our ask here with this is a conditional use permit to take the current zoning from U1 to allow distribution, shipping, and receiving at this particular facility in this particular parcel. Jumping into potential facility operations. So what this building is called a sub same day, sometimes referred to as an SSD. The sub same day intended operations include offering customers same day delivery on high demand products spanning virtually all categories. They range from diapers for a newborn to maybe you need a baseball bat for practice, pharmaceuticals. If you have a prescription, there are certain pharmaceuticals that are there. Groceries. This item can also and will be able to deliver different grocery products, pet products. Anything you may need. This facility is holding the top SKUs for this particular area that it serves. I want to mention, and I'm happy to provide more detailed clarity, it's much different than the Romig Road site. That facility is a storage facility only. As you all know, it takes a ton of truck traffic. This facility takes very little truck traffic for the most part. That facility provides no delivery services. It serves a much broader radius around it, if you will. This facility does deliver products. So very different operations. Again, if there's particular questions on, I don't want to take too much time here initially, but I'm happy to answer anything that you guys may have. Potential development operation. So it is a Class A concrete precast facility. It has, the parking was mentioned. Kyle, if you jump to the next one already, we've got a blow up here of the elevation. I wanted to mention here, and I'll touch on it again a bit. We have worked with the city to date on the eastern elevation, so the Manchester Road elevation, to provide updates to it and modifications that would not normally be there to help project a more mixed use style. This involves the bulk of the updates are just additional glass to again make it more mixed use like and not less warehouse like. Jumped into operational opportunities and like how it works and what's there. So there's full-time, flex time, and flex delivery partner opportunities or positions available. Full-time and flex time would be direct to Amazon employees, and then flex delivery is a standalone system where folks can pick up delivery, a delivery window, a 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 or 5 hour block of delivery that they want. This facility has no vans at it, or no vans like you're used to seeing at the moment. So all of the delivery is taken care of and delivered by the flex delivery associate vehicles themselves. So think of just four-wheel traffic that we drove in here today on. Benefits are available on the first day to all employees. The benefits for folks that work at this facility are the same as they are for folks at the headquarters as the CEO. So they include things like, healthcare coverage right off the bat, paid parental leave, ways to save. There is a good furthering your education credit. You can take additional dollars to go to trade school or go work towards a degree of some sort. The Amazon folks have already started working with with neighborhood groups on how they can fit in and how they can work to provide a benefit to local communities. And then additionally, the employees they typically see help boost traffic in both local businesses and eateries as a whole. Jumping into development considerations, everything was peaked at from wetlands, which we're not not affecting in any way and maintaining. Earthwork and stabilization, I think the group knows here this is a very challenging site from an earthwork perspective. It's going to take a robust update to make it structurally sound. Complete light photometrics to ensure all light was cut off, which was mentioned. This is a completely clean operation with no emittance whatsoever, so no gases or fumes emit from this in any way. It is not a processed water or sewer user, so it's not a strain on the local utility system. And then the next sheet here has a blow up of the northern part of this. I just wanted to mention at the Planning Commission meeting, it was brought to our attention that there was concerns over headlights from the tractor trailers that would park there on the northwest side. So it's hard to see here, but on the south side of the pond, kind of the north side of that gray parking area there, a fence has been added, a visual barrier. It will be the same Trex product that's on the northeast side, so it will likely provide some sound benefit as well. But the goal is to make it as least intrusive as possible. Touching on the next piece here, mitigation measures. It was mentioned the finished floor is up to 10 feet below Manchester. It's actually a touch more than that on the north, and a touch less on the south. The sound barrier is there on the northeast side. Landscaping is hitting everything required and is also on the north side of that sound barrier. I mentioned the architectural features on the eastern side that have been added. Operational traffic is continuing to be studied with the city of Myclopika and team. Updates were just sent through last week, so that's all being looked at. I'll mention it here, I think that there is likelihood for a signal to be placed at Westmoreland. I know that's the concern of folks. So again, whatever Mike and team and Kyle and team are looking for and wanting us to do, we're willing and ready to implement those effects. And then, of course, it was mentioned the slivers on the northwest side. We're absolutely working through that now. Our civil engineer is here working through survey work for the plat that will actually make that happen from a city perspective, and having it as a condition to a potential hopeful approval. We are a big support of, and quite frankly, this hopefully shows the commitment that without it, we obviously would not be able to move forward with the project. So that is all I have here today. Hopefully I was quick enough and brief enough, but I'm happy to answer initial questions that may exist or take those later.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak to the committee today referencing the conditional use request at 2322 Manchester Road? Anyone else here? Yes, ma'am. If you can please step to the microphone and provide us your name and address, and welcome to Planning Committee.
Thank you. Hi,
You
Deborah
can
Wellsby.
pull that down if you want.
Deborah Wellsby, 620 Cobra Avenue. I'm in a butter on Cobra Ave to the rear side of the property, and I had come to council and presented. We had a land issue that was fenced off by the Baptist Temple that had been taken care of by our butters for 60 years. And we met in September with Tina and Kyle and Cody and walked through the property, and the conversation went that Amazon would deed those lots to us at time of sale. And I just want to state that I am supportive of this project. I think it's a good use for the land given the infrastructure issues that it has. And so I just wanted to put that on the record. So in the course of our work with Cody, he's been forthright. He's been very good about explaining everything. I surveyed my lot, they surveyed those lots, and we were able to come to an agreement on what the actual measures are. And the only issue that has come up for me is that we discussed having a formal written agreement between Amazon and the abutters, and that would just establish that these lots would be deeded at time of sale. I did not receive an agreement until last Friday, and I do have some concerns about the language in the agreement. It's my understanding with our conversations over time that these lots would be surveyed and they would be deeded to us, but the agreement is very ambiguous and doesn't really state for certainty that there is a guarantee that these lots will be deeded to us. So I'm sure it can be worked out. It's a draft. I didn't have time to run it by our attorney. I'm speaking on behalf of all the abutters, and I'm sure those issues can be worked out, but I thought maybe there might be a chance to have some more clarification on part of Cody about the agreement and that issue. So thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Anyone else here wishing to speak in front of the committee today? Anyone else? I don't believe there is. So at this point, we'll close the public hearing on this item and open up to committee members. Tina Boyes, any comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have to admit, at the beginning of this process, I was hesitant. I was very familiar with the Romig Road Amazon facility, which is high truck use, lots of employees, lots of road use, and I was able in July to accompany Cody Garrison and several others up to their Middleburg Heights same-day fulfillment center, and my opinion completely changed. It is a totally different facility. The employees there are joyful to be there, frankly, and the majority of the folks I saw on that property were folks who bring their own personal cars and fit these runs, these drives and deliveries in as they can, which I think is a very good fit for my neighborhood. Has not been stated yet, but there is a grade school 2 doors down from this proposed facility. I can foresee a time when, someone drops their child off at school and then they pick up a load and deliver for 4 hours. So to me, that's a win-win for our community. I also love that this is the first in Summit County, if I'm correct. This is first same-day fulfillment center in Summit County, which, if you order things and you get them the next day, they're coming from Middleburg Heights. That's not efficient. Putting them closer to the people who are receiving the products, much more efficient. And the fact that there's going to be pharmaceuticals there as well as fresh food delivery, that really helps a neighborhood that contains a food desert and a lot of elderly folks. So I am very much in support of this. We've had 3 public meetings, 2 of them I spearheaded. We had 100 people at Allenside Presbyterian Church, which is the folks that live right there in the community, and about 100 people at my ward meeting, and everyone walked away saying, when can you start digging? So to me, that's a great and ringing endorsement from the community members, and I support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tina Boyes, for all your hard work on this, having attended 1 or 2 of those meetings. I know we've talked about it many, many, many times. I know planning has done an outstanding job, and all the team here, the economic development folks, everyone here, in terms of ensuring that this is done correctly. Certainly appreciate it. Any other questions from any committee members? Council members, any questions?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just had a quick question. I was reading the meeting minutes from the Planning Commission, and there were also some signal documenter notes from the Planning Commission from November 14th that talked about noise, light pollution, and traffic. I know we just mentioned some of the light pollution items and some of the noise barrier, and I went to the Ward 9 meeting for that presentation, and I've read a little bit about it. I just wanted to know, was there any adjustments for the proposal between maybe the Ward 9 meeting or the last planning meeting and today? Thank you.
Yes, Kyle. Julian.
Thank you, Chair Fusco, and for the question, Councilmember Wilson. So we've had really a lot of adjustments across the scope of the time frame that we've been looking at this, and to Ambrose's credit, and acting on behalf of Amazon, they have incorporated the suggestions and the requests that we've made, since, like, I can't remember when, since day one, right? And so the changes to make the facade a little bit more neighborhood facing, to the landscaping plan, to the sidewalk out front, to eliminate a drive opening, and to consider a light at the northern entrance. In the past 3 weeks, they have extended the sound wall and the light barrier further west, so that the other folks, Deb Wellsby and her neighbors, will be, having the added protection from that potential intrusion there. And there's one other thing that I'm forgetting, but there have been lots of adjustments to the site plan and to the overall project. And they've been very receptive to those. And honestly, I think we've pretty much gotten, what we asked for throughout.
Thank you Tina Boyce?
Sorry, I just wanted to add that I wanted to ask a question. Am I assuming correctly that the abutters and that those deeds are what do you call it?
Part of the conditions?
Yeah, is it a condition? I'm sorry, a little brain fart. Condition. It is a condition of this project, correct? So if it does not happen, this project does not.
Exactly, yeah. So the substitute amendment that was
Yes.
provided
under new.
added two conditions, right? And one of which was that this property split at the north side be resolved. And that's a condition of the development. So that must
Very good.
be resolved in order
Yes.
for this to move ahead.
Good. Thank you. With that, we're now going to move on. And thank you again for coming down. Appreciate it. If you'd like to, you can come down at 5 o'clock for the second public hearing on this, or you could Zoom in if you'd like to, and our staff can assist with that.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, Councilwoman Amobian has her hand raised.
I'm sorry. Yes, hi, Linda Mobian.
Thank you, Jeff. Just have a quick question, and I too attended the Ward 9 meeting, and the people, as Tina indicated, were very excited and well fed that night. So it was a very good meeting. In terms of the school that is near that property line, there were some questions about traffic and drop off and pick up and things of that nature. I'm just wondering, has that been satisfactorily worked out with the school system?
I believe the answer to that, Councilwoman, is yes. At the very first meeting at the church in the adjoining neighborhood, folks from the school district and the school, the principal of that school, were in attendance. Mr. Garrison actually went to the school and made himself available during the first interim report card pickup, to answer questions and make sure parents were aware and the community was aware that this was happening. We've been very clear that, we wanted to think not only about, think about traffic not only in terms of operations, but then also the fact that we want that school to be a school that children can walk to and that their parents are comfortable with them walking to that. So we've made changes to the site, asked for changes to the site plan. We've made changes to that sidewalk out front. We've thought about those impacts. And so, this is a potential conflict that we wanted to address from the very get-go, and I feel like we're doing that.
Very good. Thank you. Just another question. The financial obligations associated with this. I know that the Word Church owned the property. We demolished it. So we were taking care of financially for the demolition. And because the ownership didn't transfer, I don't think, but they couldn't do anything without our participation because we demolished it. So has that all been satisfied?
Sean Volleman.
Yes, that Sean Volleman, City of Akron Economic Development. Yes, that has been satisfied. We did get a grant from the state that covered a portion of the demolition. Our internal costs will be paid back to the City of Akron as part of the closing between the developer and the Word Church.
Okay. Thank you very much. I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr.
Further
Chair.
questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll now move on to the next piece of legislation, an ordinance. Please read that in, Sir Viviano. Thank you.
The second item up for public hearing today is an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to place a digital outdoor advertising display on McIntosh Avenue, adjacent to Interstate 277, and declaring an emergency.
Yes, Mr. Antonucci.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Kenjo Outdoor Advertising is requesting permission to place an outdoor advertising display or billboard to a height of 65 feet at this location. The double-sided V-shaped billboard would be located approximately 910 feet east of the I-76 overpass. The digital panels, each measuring 672 square feet, would be supported by a steel monopole column 48 inches in diameter. Structure would reach an overall height of 65 feet above ground level. The zoning code establishes the development requirements for advertising displays permitted as a conditional use, and this proposal meets most of those requirements. However, a minimum distance of 1,000 feet between billboards is called for. The proposed display would be located roughly 810 feet west of the closest of 2 newly placed billboards on the opposite side of I-277. This distance, however, is approximately 100 feet more than the distance between the 2 previously approved billboards. The proposed height would be consistent with the approved heights of several recently approved displays, should not impose on the surrounding area. A precedent has been established allowing similar billboards in proximity to interstate highways and other expressways. The sign panel manufacturer states that its displays will feature automatic brightness adjustment and comply with lighting standards endorsed by the International Sign Association and Outdoor Advertising Association of America. The proposed externally illuminated static advertising display is along a well-traveled highway at a height of 65 feet and digital faces oriented toward the highway. The billboard should not impose on neighboring uses and should contribute to a vibrant business environment by providing an efficient means for local businesses to communicate with consumers. Both the planning staff and planning commission recommend approval subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to ask Sarah Viviano, please swear in any individuals that wish to testify before the committee.
If you're here to speak on this public hearing, could you please stand and raise your right hand? We do have one individual that signed up online and is joining us virtually. If you could also raise your right hand. Mr. Prosser, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing and ask if there's anyone wishing to testify before the committee. If you could please provide for us your name and address. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dan Nielsen, 928 Haverhill Drive, Troy, Ohio, 45373. Thank you, Mike. Thank you all for the time. I'm the applicant on behalf of Kenjo Outdoor Advertising. We have a few signs here in Akron. We've kind of built relationships over time with a lot of electricians, some excavators, some crane companies, some tree companies, a lot of which have advertised on some of our signs in town. This site happens to be owned by the excavator that we have continuously used, and so he approached us during the build of the last 2 signs, and he said, hey, can you apply at my site? And we said, we'll give it our best shot. But as I've said, we've done business in Akron with a bunch of roofers, plumbers, colleges, tree companies. So we hopefully feel like we like Akron. We hope Akron likes us. But this site, it's surrounded, obviously the highway is well-traveled, bunch of traffic, so we love that. But as far as, other uses in the area, there's a scrapyard, a pallet manufacturing business, there's a storage place. We have a light study done that shows no impact to any residential houses nearby. We feel it's a perfect spot for the reasons I've just stated, but I'm here to answer any questions, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. I understand that there's someone has signed in and would like to testify before the committee. If you could please provide for us online your name and address. Thank you and welcome.
Jason Prosser, 78 28th Street, Northwest Barberton, Ohio.
Welcome.
Thank you. I have a concern of where this sign is going. There has been a water flow issue through this property for many years that causes flooding to multiple properties. I have reached out to multiple departments to get the water flow issue resolved with no results. My understanding, there is a lot of land clearing and land change to put this sign up. And we already have a problem with water flow. How far from the water drainage ditch is the sign going to be?
Very good question. Anything else, sir, that you would like to testify to or about?
And then where is the power going to be ran from to power this sign?
Mm-hmm. Okay,
and then
good
also,
questions. Yeah, thank you.
And then also, how will this sign be accessed as far as an access road for maintenance or, repairs.
Very good. Well, after our procedures are, after the public hearing, we'll then open up to questions. And so you're bringing us up good questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Anything further, sir?
Look at my list here. I think that's it.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak before the committee today? Anyone else? Very good. We'll close the public hearing portion. Okay, at this point, we'll open up to questions from the committee members. Tina Boyce.
Thank you. Yeah, I would just like to pick up on Mr. Prosser's questions. First, how far from the existing drainage line will this construction be, and how will it impact that area?
Well, yeah, I don't have an exact measurement from that drainage ditch. Maybe perhaps Dan does, but
Certainly. You want me to address all three or just the one, like one at a?
Up to you. All three is
Okay, so I wrote down, the water, the power, the access. So as far as water, Glenn Butcher is the property owner. He's a local excavator guy in town, good guy. He actually had to go through FEMA to get water concerns figured out. And so the property right now as it sits is kind of I'll call it a rock yard. He brings in rock and concrete, and I don't really know his whole inside, but it's just anyways, there was already a half-built access road, and to build a road to get to where we need to build the sign based on ODOT permits, spacing, et cetera, he had to go through FEMA and clear out any potential water concerns. So he does have a wetland permit for this property, for this development. Keep in mind, if you will, our entire land disturbance at most is a 12-foot by 12-foot cube. 12 foot by 12 foot by 12 foot. That's what we dig. And then we put a pipe in the ground, and then the rest is, I'm sure you're familiar. But our entire land disturbance is only 144 square feet. So I think I don't know the exact acreage of the property, but I'm going to ballpark 20 to 30, and most of the water, the wetland area that was of concern is to the east of this. I can't speak to the history of maybe the watershed isn't draining perfectly that exists, but he did get a FEMA permit for this development. Mm-hmm. Power is the next item I wrote down. Mm-hmm. It's probably going to come. We've looked. It's probably going to come more from the west, from the McIntosh area Ave, because as I said, this site is a current rock yard that he has some equipment on already, and so we'll probably submit a request with the illuminating company to. Come underground. I know last planning commission meeting they said the area is wet and rocky. We'll just horizontal drill all the way to the site with a 3-inch PVC tube. So it'll probably come from McIntosh area Ave, but we won't affect anyone else's power if that's a concern. We'll get our own service, our own meter, and then access. He's actually already built the access road. It was an extension of maybe, I'm going to say 400 feet of what access he already has through McIntosh area, because like I said, the access he has is for his rock activity, his current activity, and then we extended the existing road about 400 feet to the site that we agreed on. He actually met with, I think it's I don't want to call it the Army, but it's the
Army Corps of Engineers?
Yes, regarding the wetland concerns. So yeah, the access was just extended on an agreed upon wetland drawing that we went through with the Army Corps of Engineers for the water concern.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Any further questions or comments from any committee members? I have one or two. So you had mentioned before that previously there was an access road there that has been kind of like reopened or what have you, that's going to go directly to the 12 by 12 cube.
Yeah. So I'll call it his business access has been existing for quite some time.
Okay, gotcha. So all you have to do is tie into that and then open up the cube, right?
Yeah, it was pretty much a direct extension and then a slight right-hand turn at the end, but probably 400 or 500 feet.
I would only respectfully request that whatever trees that you remove, that you replace. We here in the city of Akron with our utility, we go 2 for 1, is that right? Typically, we go 2 for 1, but if you guys would commit to replacing every tree that you remove, you add.
2 for 1?
Sure.
I think that's
but typically we just ask people to replace a tree with a tree.
okay. There's not
Whatever
a,
one's removed. But our public utility, what we've committed as a city to replace 2 for 1. So, yeah, but 1 for 1 would be just great. If you want to commit to 2 for 1, that's up to you, sir. But
I don't see an issue with 2 for 1 because this site, we're a little bit lower than the highway where we stand, and the trees there, because it's so wet, we don't have any, gigantic oak trees or anything. There's a lot of marshy area, so I don't anticipate us removing a lot of trees, but we will commit for a 2 for 1.
okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And that could be anywhere on the site, because I understand with a sign like that, you probably wouldn't want it planted right next to it, obviously. Tina, did you have something?
I did, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just those reports, are we able to access them?
Like the wetland report or anything, I can obviously send anything and everything to, I have Mike's email, but
Yeah, we would expect that those would be included when they go for permits, so those can all be shared at that point. Yeah, if they do like major grading there, they're going to need a permit for that. And so that's going to need some stormwater management
Yeah.
if they go to that level. But we don't anticipate that there's going to be that much grading on site.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. Further questions or comments? Anybody else on council? Any questions or comments? Anyone? Anybody? Okay, cool. We'll move to the next one. Thank you very much for coming this afternoon again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. 5 o'clock, we'll have our second public hearing of the day. Thank you very much. Item number 3, please.
The third item up for public hearing today is an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to retain a solid fence within the Emmons Avenue and Ardendale Avenue setbacks at 110 Emmons Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Antonucci.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Garrett Lots requesting permission to retain a solid 6 feet tall fence in the front and side yards within 10 inches of the Emmons Avenue right-of-way and 9 feet 6 inches from the Ardendale Avenue right-of-way. The petitioner was cited in August of this year based upon a neighborhood complaint. The petitioner's property contains a 6 feet in height solid wooden fence that follows the length of the front yard property line approximately 10 inches off the sidewalk along Emmons Avenue. The fence then turns 90 degrees to run parallel with the Ardendale Avenue setback, 9 feet 6 inches from the sidewalk. Per the Akron zoning code, a 6 feet fully screened fence can be built up to the building line or 20 feet back from the property line, whichever is closer. At this address, the building line is 10 feet along Emmons Avenue and 20 feet along Ardendale. Petitioner states in his application that the current setbacks are reducing the amount of usable yard space. The purpose of setting a fully screened fence over 30 inches tall at or behind the required setback is to provide for the safe movement of both pedestrian and vehicular traffic. The location of the fence at this corner property creates blind spots for pedestrians and vehicles. This property is also 1 block south of Windermere Community Learning Center, and a high volume of vehicles and pedestrians use this street to access the school daily. The petitioner's property is large, and adherence to the established fence setback still provides ample open space and does not create a hardship. As such, planning staff recommends that the 6-foot fully screened fence conform to the zoning code fence regulations by either moving the fence back 10 feet from Emmons Avenue and 20 feet along Ardendale Avenue to conform to the setbacks, or reduce the height of the fence to 30 inches to provide adequate vision clearance for safe movement of pedestrians and vehicles, as well as promoting safe neighborhoods. And the planning staff and planning commission recommend disapproval of the request to retain the fence at this current location. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to swear in any individuals that wish to testify before the committee today. If you could please be sworn in by Sir Viviano, our clerk.
Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, "I do." Thank you.
Thank you. We'll open up the public hearing. If you'd like to please provide for us your name and address, we'd certainly appreciate that. We'll open up the public hearing. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Garrett Lott, 110 Emmons Avenue, constructor of the fence there. And Even though my fence is not within the required setback, I personally do not believe it poses a safety hazard by any means. For those of you unfamiliar with the area, Emmons and Ardendale intersection is a two-way stop with both signs on Ardendale Avenue facing east and west respectively. Safe travel conditions have not been changed since my fence has been constructed over 3 months ago. It's over 20 feet away from both streets. So north and south travelers along Emmons Avenue still have the right-of-way with no obstructed view of the street or sidewalk while approaching or passing through the intersection. The only blind spot that my fence has created would be traveling east on Ardendale Avenue well before you actually get to the intersection, which I believe would only create a problem for those who intend on not following the traffic laws and would try to cross the intersection without coming to a complete stop. If all traffic laws are properly followed as they should be, my fence has no effect on the safe flow of traffic or pedestrians crossing the street. From the stop sign facing east in front of my property, you have 100% clear visibility of both sidewalks and the street in entirety all the way north up to Windermere Learning Center. So I truly believe whoever complained about my fence, that did not come from a concern for safety for the neighborhood, primarily because on the corner of Emmons Avenue and Ardendale, on the southeast side of the intersection along Emmons Avenue, there's been 3 trees planted along the median or double strip, and for 75% of the year, when the trees have leaves on them, it blocks the street in entirety. And anyone I've talked to in the neighborhood, residents that have been there 30, 40 years, I've asked them if they've had any issue with my fence, if it poses any issue, and all of them agreed, it doesn't cause any safety hazard, and it usually pertains back to the trees that, that everyone seems to have a problem with, but no one's officially reported.
Good.
And do not believe my fence stands out as far as aesthetics for the neighborhood goes. There are many 6-foot-tall fences in the area, many of which are entirely solid and placed directly up to the sidewalk, while my fence still has partial visibility through and is almost a foot away from the Emmons sidewalk and over 10 feet away from the Ardendale side. And my reason for construction of the fence in the first place was so that my family could let our dogs out, have peace of mind, while my fiance cares for our newborn daughter. It's a 6-foot-tall fence ensures safety of our dogs not getting out and no other animals or people getting in. 30-inch tall fence would bring constant worry and fear, especially with the amount of kids walking by during school hours. Dogs are very friendly and well-behaved, but I always try to plan for the worst-case scenario and don't want any opportunity for my dogs to come in contact with anyone passing by, for everyone's safety. And as far as relocating the fence, it's very hard for me to imagine the reality of moving it, even just a couple feet, with the original construction taking months and countless hours of help from friends and family to get it up. And while I'm still trying to pay off the material for what is already there now, reconstruction of the fence would pose a major impact on our family, being that we are a single-income household. And if it were to be shortened or moved, I believe it would provide little benefit, to all the neighbors and everyone traveling through the neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks for your time. Open questions or concerns.
Thank you very much for coming this afternoon. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor or against this proposal on Emmons and Ardendale? Anyone else? Okay, we'll close the public hearing portion.
Okay.
Ask if there's any committee members with any questions whatsoever. Any committee members? Any council members with questions whatsoever? Mr. McKittrick, ward council person for the area.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Mr. Antonucci, had we had any of the neighbors from the letters that were sent out Any complaints at all?
Since we sent out letters, no, we haven't gotten responses against, complaining about this particular fence. Actually, we did get a response from a neighbor who was supportive of keeping the fence.
Yeah. I believe that same neighbor did reach out to me, and that's the only contact that I had as well. It's just positive in favor of it, and stated that the family has done some work and improved the property as well. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McKittrick. Any other questions or comments? I'm not seeing any. We'll now move on to the next item and invite you back at 5 o'clock. The committee will make a recommendation to all of council this evening. Thank you. Thanks for coming down today. Appreciate it. Item number, I guess, 4?
The fourth item up for public hearing today is an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to retain a 3-unit apartment house at 151 Ruckle Road and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Antonucci.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Caitlin Kaczynski wishes to retain this property as a 3-unit apartment house. However, the property is considered legal nonconforming for a 2-family use. The structure was built in 1924, currently contains 3 apartments. Petitioner purchased the property in October of 25 under the impression that it had always been a legal nonconforming 3-unit dwelling. The 2-story dwelling provides access to 2 of the units from the front porch, and 1 apartment has access through a rear door. The structure was inspected by Akron's Housing Division under the prior owner, and it was found that it was necessary to upgrade the units so that they each have a separate electrical panel. Property contains ample space in the rear yard to provide 3 parking spots. Petitioners indicated that she will make the necessary changes to bring the property into compliance with the Akron Housing Code. The amount of off-street parking exceeds code requirements. Other 2 and multifamily dwellings exist in the neighborhood, and the additional 3rd unit on this large property will not significantly increase density while continuing to provide needed housing. The retention of this 3-family apartment house should not have a negative impact in this Goodyear Heights neighborhood, and both planning staff and planning commission recommend approval, subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Antonucci. I would like to request that anyone wishing to speak before the committee be sworn in by Sarah Biviano.
We do have the petitioner online with us as well, so I can swear both of you in. Could you please raise your right hand? Ms. Kaczynski, can you hear us? Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. With this, we'll open up the public hearing portion, and if the petitioner would like to begin, that's fine. If you can please provide for us your name and address. Thank you.
Hi, so my name's Kate Kaczynski, 110 Davis, Philadelphia, PA. So I bought the house in October again under the assumption or knowledge that it was a 3-family conditional use. I would like to retain it as such because we've had 3 tenants in there. I think they've been living in there for the last 6 years, and I really would not like to displace them. So if there's any type of way, because they've been there for so long and it's been used as that for so long, if we could maintain it, that would be great.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. With that, we'll ask if there's anyone else here wishing to testify before the committee. Please provide for us your name and address. Welcome to council.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Christopher Zwissler, 1449 Berkshire Road, Stowe. I am the previous owner. I have owned the property, or had owned the property for exactly 6 years, October of 19 to October of 25. I had bought it under the assumption also that it was a 3-unit. I had the realtor pull the transaction history, and there must have been at least half a dozen different buyers and sellers over the past 20 some odd years that it had been listed as such. It's currently a legal non-conforming 2-unit dwelling. Somewhere along the line, someone had made that modification and didn't go through the proper processes and channels in order to have it zoned as such as a 3-unit. It is currently fully occupied. It had been occupied under my ownership as well. And I wanted to point out also that the third unit in question is occupied by an elderly woman, Deborah Wagner, who's under Social Security income. So it would be most beneficial to keep it the way the structure is in its current condition.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Anyone else here wishing to speak in favor or against this proposal on Ruckle Road 151? Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing portion. Open up to any committee members. Any comments or questions? Sharon Connor, the ward person.
I'd just like to say I'm in favor of just converting this and legally making it a 3-unit. Housing is so critical in our city. Hate to lose a unit, and especially with people who've been there long term.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from anyone? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll now move on to item number 5.
The fifth item up for public hearing today is an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct a gas station, convenience store, 2-bay car wash, and truck parking area at 1805 East Market Street and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Antonucci?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Campbell Oil is requesting permission to rebuild a legal non-conforming gas station and convenience store and construct a detached 2-bay car wash at this location. The current Marathon gas station and Bell Store convenience store, Azteca restaurant, and the vacant former Ultra Coat building will all be raised. The current 2,000 square foot gas station convenience store with attached fuel island canopies will be replaced with a 5,432 square foot building located near the original footprint. Building materials will consist of masonry, cement base, brick, and horizontal siding in earth tones. Storefront windows in the main entrance door will be along the south and east elevations, with an additional entrance door on the west. The gas station and convenience store will be open 24 hours a day, but the interior will only be accessed from 5 a.m. to 12 a.m. After hours, customers will use a pass-through drawer on the west elevation. Gas station convenience store will be surrounded by 16 parking spaces to the north, 20 to the south, 5 to the east, and 6 to the west. A canopy to the east of the building will cover 4 diesel fuel dispensers. The canopy to the west of the building will cover 6 gas fuel dispensers. The proposed 40 feet in width easternmost curb cut will provide ingress only to the diesel fuel dispensers. The westernmost curb cut will be the same width, but will be egress only. The wider curb cuts are necessary to accommodate semi-truck traffic. The 2 middle curb cuts are designed for passenger vehicles and will each be 30 feet, allowing both ingress and egress. A 2-bay production line car wash building constructed of matching building materials will be located over 60 feet west of the gas fuel dispenser canopy. Vehicles will enter the 2,000 square foot building from the north and exit to the south. West of the car wash will be a 12-bay paved parking area for semi-tractor trailers. Each angled stall will measure 12.5 feet wide by 40 feet in length, 45 feet in length. A 5-foot in depth double staggered row of bushes will run along the street frontage with clusters in the interior of the site. Petitioners stated that they will replace any missing graded street trees. A landscape monument sign measuring 8 feet in height will be sited 8 feet west, 8 feet from the right-of-way. The sign will contain the Marathon logo atop of Bell Store's identification, identifying the car wash. The current gas station convenience store is undersized, and the current flow of traffic often creates congestion. The proposed rebuild and expansion provides a more efficient flow by separating the diesel and gas fuel areas and providing ample parking for customers. Traffic engineering has reviewed the proposal and recommends approval. The area west of Azteca Restaurant has always been utilized as truck parking for several decades, but the proposed layout will make this parking area more organized and attractive. The proposed 2-bay car wash will provide needed service for residents. Even though the square footage of the proposed signage exceeds the amount allowed by code, it does not overwhelm the large property. The landscaping and spacing between structures and uses will promote an attractive and efficient development. Additionally, the raising of older structures and replacing them with modern buildings will be an improvement. The proposed development is harmonious with the Land Use and Development Guide Plan and the Eastgate Urban Renewal Plan. Planning staff and Planning Commission recommend approval, subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Biviano, could you please swear in any individuals that wish to testify before the committee?
If you're here in chambers, could you please stand and raise your right hand? Okay. We do have some individuals online as well, so if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, "I do."
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, we'll open up the public hearing for any comments. If you could please provide for us your name and address, and we're welcome you to Akron City Council Planning Committee. I don't know who would like to
Thank you.
start.
Yeah, this is J.P. Phillips with Campbell Oil Company, 7977 Hills and Dales Road, Massillon, Ohio. Director of Construction for Campbell Oil Bell Stores. We just want to thank the committee for considering our application for the approvals so far. We've owned this property for over 40 years, and we're looking very much forward to upgrading it, kind of cleaning up our section of Market Street and improving the area overall. So be happy to have any questions or concerns you have.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify before the committee? Okay, very good. Okay, not hearing any. At this point, we'll close the public hearing portion, open up to any comments or questions from any committee members. Sharon Connor?
I love the new development. My concern is Azteca Restaurant. We've worked that out with them, or did they not own that property?
Ma'am, no, we actually own all the parcels included in this development we do own. We're working with the owners of the Azteca Restaurant, the business itself, to see if they can find a relocation program. They've been leasing that building for a number of years, but we own the property.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Any further questions or comments from any committee members, any council members, any questions or comments whatsoever? Not hearing any, let's go ahead and move on to, and we'll invite you back at 5 o'clock, in which you are more than welcome to Zoom in if you would like, and we'll have an additional public hearing, and then the committee will make a recommendation to all of council. Thank you for attending. Thanks.
Thank you.
Viviano?
The final item up for public hearing today is an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to place oversized directional wayfinding signage within the building line setback at 350 Opportunity Parkway and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Antonucci?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. The Akron Canton Regional Food Bank is requesting permission to place 5 destination directional ground signs within the setback. The 5 directional signs will be placed at each entrance along Dart Avenue and Opportunity Parkway. Each would be placed 5 to 7 feet from the right-of-way and measure 5 feet in height by 2.2 feet in width for an area of 11 square feet, and would be constructed of double-sided aluminum with paint and computer-cut vinyl graphics. Each sign face will read Akron Canton Regional Food Bank in white lettering along with the organization's logo on a red background. The lettering below will feature entrance A through E, respectively, along with directions based on the destination. The petitioner has stated that location can create a challenge to provide adequately visible signage for this busy facility. There are a number of donors, customers, and volunteers, all in various vehicles of various sizes. These signs are a suitable solution for this vital community, service to ensure an efficient circulation of traffic and utilization of space without being obtrusive or adversely affecting the surrounding neighborhood. Such, both planning staff and planning commission recommend approval, subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you for your report. At this time, we'll ask Sarah Biviano to please swear in any individuals that wish to testify before the committee.
If you're here for this public hearing, could you please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, "I do." I do. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll open up the public hearing portion and ask if I can please provide for us your name and address. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Wilson, 350 Opportunity Parkway. We are proposing new wayfinding signs. We recently finished an expansion of our facility at the end of 2024, and a couple months ago we also finished adding a brand new parking lot. So on any given day, there's several hundred people visiting our facility, whether it's volunteers, neighbors picking up food, partner agencies picking up their food orders, or also semi-tractor trailers dropping off loads. So this sign would just help people direct them to the correct driveway and entrance. And thank you for your consideration.
Thank you so much. Anyone else wishing to testify before the committee? Anyone else? Anyone online? Okay, very good. With that, we'll close the public hearing. Ask if there's any committee members that have any questions or comments. Any committee members, any council members with any questions or comments? I'm not seeing anyone, so with that, we'll close and invite you back 5 o'clock this evening. Thank you very much for coming down today. We appreciate all the good work you do. Thank you. With that, we'll take time on the balance of the regular agenda and move into the new list of legislation. And how fast can you read, Sarah Viviano? We're a bit behind.
We'll start under new legislation with item number 9. Item number 8 was the substitute for the first public hearing.
Perfect.
Item number 9 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts with Glaus, Pyle, Schomer, Burns, and DeHaven Incorporated, doing business as GPD Group Incorporated, for redevelopment and operational expansion and declaring an emergency.
Yes, Susie Graham Moore is here, I assume, to speak on this.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. City is looking to enter into a development agreement with GPD Group for the retention and growth of their business on South Main Street, to include establishing a national headquarters campus and adding at a minimum 118 jobs over the next 5 years. GPD was established in 1961 and is an employee-owned engineering and architecture firm here in Akron. Their current employment is over 460 employees that come into the office every day in downtown Akron, with over 900 employees across the state and across 14 different offices. Their local payroll is about $50 million annually, and the new jobs that they are committing to will add approximately $11.5 million to that local payroll. They will also be investing about $11 million into the space itself. They are the #1 ranked both architecture and engineering firm, according to Cranes, in Northeast Ohio, and they're also among the top 100 Northeast Ohio privately held businesses. So we're very fortunate to have them here in Akron. They're also widely recognized for their civic leadership, with employees contributing an average of 2,500 or more volunteer hours every year to support the community. And since the creation of their GPD Employees Foundation in 2014, they have also reached the lives of more than 2.5 million children and awarded more than $6 million to K-12 public schools and nonprofits that support children living with special and/or medical needs or who are considered at risk. As part of this agreement, I should have mentioned also, they also, I'm sorry, one more really important thing. They also support community growth through opportunities such as their GPD co-op program, internships that they provide to students from the University of Akron, and the Minority Business Incubator that provide critical professional development for emerging leaders. So as part of this agreement, the city is committing to complete much-needed repairs to South Main Street, making renovations from Cedar Street to Barges, including resurfacing, repairing a water main that is circa 1881, and also providing some curb and sidewalk repairs and improvements. We will also improve city-owned parking lots and enter into a 20-year license agreement for their use, seal off a sky bridge between a residential building and their office building in order to close off some access between those two buildings, enter into a TIF agreement with a city share that also helps reimburse some of those expenses for the parking lots, and enter into a support agreement with Akron Energy Systems for energy efficiency improvements and improvements to their HVAC. Securing the headquarters is a significant decision for GPD and is being made with an understanding that those aforementioned repairs are a significant part of their decision. So as part of this agreement, should the city not complete the aforementioned improvements, we would enter into an economic development grant with them that would provide 1% of their total payroll back to them annually, either for 10 years or until the completion of those repairs, whichever comes first.
Very good, thank you. This is a company that has been a part of our Akron landscape for a really long time, and they've been extremely successful employee ownership, I understand, as well.
They are employee-owned.
Which is very cool. In terms of the agreement itself, where are we with that? I'm sure we'd like to take a look.
Absolutely.
Mr. Angeloni, any comments about the...
Sure. I believe as of really today, we've come to agreement on all the material terms. We do have a draft of that ready, but it is just in draft form at this point.
Okay, very good. And we should be able to have eyes on that today, possibly, or this week. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Very good. Congratulations. I haven't seen the agreement. However, though, with everything that I've heard and that you've said, this, again, is a great story. It's not one of those companies that started in Akron and built their story in Akron and then perhaps went elsewhere. They're here, and they're staying here, and that's a great story, I think, for our city, and appreciate the work everyone has done on it. Any questions from any committee members? Council members? Is consent agenda okay on this item?
Certainly, thank you.
Very good. Give everybody an
A quick
opportunity.
question, Mr.
Oh, yes,
Chair.
I'm sorry. Oh, hi, Linda Amobian. I didn't see your hand.
No, I didn't have it because I couldn't get to the gadget fast enough. But I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
They're purchasing Spaghetti Warehouse, the restaurant?
They are looking to acquire 3 properties, including that one, yes.
So I don't know, is Spaghetti Warehouse, I haven't been there in a long time. Is it still operational?
It is currently operating, yes.
Are they going out of business or they plan to continue to operate as a restaurant?
That would be for them to negotiate with Spaghetti Warehouse.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Short of any, is there a recommendation for consent agenda?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, the ayes have it. Very good. Item number 10, Ms. Viviano.
Item number 10 is an ordinance authorizing the sale of vacant city-owned property located on Manchester Road, parcel number 67-17398, to AMS 2025 BTS Akron, Ohio LLC, determining said property is not needed for public use and declaring an emergency.
Someone here, Kyle Julian.
Good afternoon again. So this is a parcel of land that the city holds. It's directly behind to the west of the elementary school and south of the Old Word Church property. It's surplus. We've held it because it provides drainage for the school property. The site plan that was presented by Amazon or by Ambrose on behalf of Amazon did, cross over the parcel boundary onto this parcel a little bit. And so the easiest course of action was just actually to sell the parcel to them at our standard rate and then retain an easement so that the drainage ditch could continue to be maintained and provide that critical service for the school property. So we're asking that we have permission to enter into that transaction.
Any questions or comments from any committee members? None? Hearing none. What's the time frame on this thing?
Well, it's tied, of course, to the conditional use request that we're also considering for this project. And so, I think consent would be fine. And then depending, and we wouldn't, of course, enter into a sales agreement until we've know that the conditional use has actually been approved.
Which is fair. Consent agenda, okay? Tina Boyce?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, the ayes have it. Item number 11.
Item number 11 is an ordinance amending and/or supplementing Title 15, Land Use, Chapter 154, Vacant Commercial or Industrial Buildings, Sections 154.05, Appeal of Orders Issued by the Director, Procedure, 154.051, Repair, Vacation, and Demolition, Procedure, Remedy of City for Noncompliance, and 154.99, Penalty of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Akron and declaring an emergency.
Someone here on this item? Mr. Greger, Dwayne Greger?
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. The impetus of this legislation was actually an attempt for us, with direction from the council clerk, to come in line with the way the city council does their public notifications. And we had been having some trouble dealing with getting classified ads for our board meetings, and we were looking to try to be able to have those posted on the city website, which would save us, between the two boards that we have, about $2,500 a year. So we thought that that was a good idea. And while we had that open, we looked at some other possible changes, including increasing the penalties for noncompliance with the vacant building registration. So,
Very good. Cool. How much is the penalty going to be?
well, the
From where-
penalties,
from
the
where-
penalties would double from first fine up to $100, second fine up to $500, third fine up to $1,000, to $200, $1,000, and $2,000 respectively.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for that. And can you explain a little bit more in reference to the notification piece? I think I understand it's, in essence, we're going to be advertising through our, what are we removing, what are we adding in terms of?
The code had required us to put our agendas and results in a publication of general circulation.
Yeah,
In the past, that had always been the Beacon Journal, the print version. Now it's mostly their online version. We don't know how far-reaching the classifieds are for that.
Yeah.
It became, to us, a little bit burdensome dealing with the billing with the company in Michigan. And so we were looking for any more expedient way to do that, something
Sure.
that would be just as far-reaching, that wouldn't cost us as much money.
Cool. Good. Any questions from anyone on the committee? Yes, Tina Boyes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Two questions. First one, maybe for our clerk. Do we advertise via classifieds, or do we do it differently?
We do also advertise in the public hearing via legal notices, classifieds, Akron Beacon Journal, because it's in council rules.
Okay, and this would not then be advertised the same way we do it?
Well, we would not be doing the publication in a newspaper. We would be doing on the city website solely, because that's what would be in the ordinance. The ordinance would no longer require us to put out a classified ad.
Got it. So that would be different than the way council does it. That's the one thing I wanted to get clear in my head. Second, as far as the vacant building registry, being a CDC person and having vacant buildings that we're trying to redevelop, I oftentimes got fines for having a building that wasn't, completed and/or had folks in it. Yet, as you know, nonprofit community developers, it's a hard time to raise that money sometimes, and it's multiple sources, and it's a little bit of a time. Is there any kind of, is there an exemption for folks like that are trying to do a community benefit, not a for-profit benefit?
Okay, so the fines are not for having a vacant building. The fines are for failing to comply with an order to register the vacant building. So the vacant building registry fees are not changing. The penalty for noncompliance is changing.
For not registering?
Correct.
Perfect. That's all I needed to know. Thank you.
Thank you for the questions or comments. Would you like to take, is there a rush on this? Can we refer this item? Or next week?
That'd be fine. We would like to, if possible, get it ready for the next board meeting in January and/or the enforcement that we start on the non-compliant owners by the end of the year.
Okay, so a week is fine, or even consent agenda. I don't know what the committee thinks, what their thoughts are, but I see Mr. Fran Whistle.
Sorry, thank you, Chair. Just a quick question, if I may. I see on the first page under 154.05 subsection B, we're crossing out and striking notification to citizen complainants. Can you explain that a little bit? Sorry. Thank you.
In discussion with the law department, that had been in as part of the ordinance, and the reality is we don't get citizen complaints regarding vacant building registration, so it really didn't seem necessary. We never had anyone to mail to, so we just decided to strike that.
Okay, very good, thank you. Okay, any further questions or comments? I want a motion to refer this item for further discussion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yes, the ayes have it. Item number 12 and the last one on our agenda.
Item number 12 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into an agreement or agreements with Waste Management of Ohio Incorporated or its designee for the acquisition and disposition of real property, determining that such property is not needed for any public use and declaring an emergency.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Angeloni, are you here for this one or someone else?
I can start.
Oh, Susie Graham Moore is here.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. So this legislation allows for the city to enter into a TIF agreement with Waste Management. It is the more flexible of the two different versions of TIF. Should we so choose, it allows for us to capture some of the payment in lieu of taxes on the development once the development reaches its fullest potential, and then redeploy those resources for community benefit or for public improvements, both in the general vicinity of the waste management development or where we so choose, which could include the Middlebury neighborhood. So that is the intention of this. We have spoken to Waste Management about it. They are open to it. In order for us to enter into this type of TIF, we do have to, what we say is jump into the chain of title. So this allows for us to enter the chain of title and potentially bring that TIF legislation to you in the future.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from anyone? Mr. Hanna?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You mentioned community benefits. Could you name some of those benefits that the community would be getting?
Sure. So this, at this point, this just allows us to create TIF legislation. It doesn't specify what public improvements might be made. So in other developments, sometimes there's a desire to increase lighting, for example, around a specific development, and so those are described as part of the TIF. So at this point, there's no specific public improvements being described. It just legally allows us to enter into the tax increment financing agreement.
Sharon Connor?
I would like, I know there's been a number of meetings on this.
Sure.
It distresses me a little bit that one was held on Monday. We have yet to be invited to many of them. Council members have not been getting those invitations. So all of this is happening without us having any knowledge, basically. And yet we need to roll it out to people in our neighborhoods. So let me just go on the record as saying I find that very, very disappointing. And with that, I would love to take a little time on this so we have time to read it.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Yes.
Because you wanted to make, sorry.
Esther Thomas?
If it please the council, Madam President, council committee chair, my colleague and I, Casey Shevlin, wanted to address what I believe are some, well, to give further context information regarding community meetings. Given that this process has been mired in a legal lawsuit that went on for a year, when certain developments occurred, we realized we still need to talk to people. We need to know if there are some benefits that we can derive, and Casey's been working very diligently on the model and the structure and getting a national organization to come shepherd us through how to do best efforts in order to receive potential benefits. We still need to talk to people. And so as a small part of that, we asked an Akron organization that's been quite vocal if we could attend their meeting at their location at their time. Their time that they selected was Monday. We joined their meeting. Had this been a meeting that was organized or called by the mayor's office, we would have certainly not have put it in the smack dab middle of a council meeting. There have been sampling, getting some information from various community members so that we could start this dialogue. Not that we've held the dialogue, made decisions, and this is what we're going to do. We're very much at the front end of making sure that as we proceed, we are getting information from the community. And the meeting that was held last week, it was not our meeting. We joined a meeting, and they determined the time. I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Director Shevlin, who's worked extensively on setting up a framework where the residents of Akron and the area most directly impacted by waste management, the transfer station, the original one and the other one, how we might structure so that all those areas can have some uplift from these developments.
Casey Shevlin.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I completely acknowledge it was an inconvenient time for council to attend the meeting on Monday, so, I apologize for that. But I was trying to be responsive to feedback we get all the time as a city. I'm sure council has heard this feedback too, that it feels silly for city staff to continuously call, separate meetings and do its own thing when there are groups engaged in these issues that are meeting regularly, come to where people are, go to where people are gathering. So I was trying to be responsive to that, and I know that it had the effect of preventing many of you from attending. So I do feel badly about that. I'd be happy to connect with you, Councilwoman. I know we've been emailing, so I'm happy to have that conversation separately.
Thank you. Further questions or comments from anyone? Is there Linda Mobian, hi, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I know during the time we were talking about moving the station and purchasing the land, or whatever they were going to do, there were a number of meetings, and one that I was invited to by a group of ministers who talked about the community benefit package, and certainly Mr. Hanna, was part of that group in that meeting. And they came up with a whole list of things that they had researched based on their contacts with the national organization and different community benefit programs that they had around the country. So what I am saying is that whatever we choose to do with regard to this, I hope that there is some kind of advisory board or group involved in this that would include community members, the Ministerial Alliance, and certainly Mr. Hanna could add more to that. But there was a need and a strong interest in having participation because they talked about all the things and concerns that they had with trash and stuff going up and down the street and all kinds of things that they were concerned about. Not only that, but the other environmental emission things from the waste management company and how that would impact the environment and the air and all the pollution and stuff. So I think it's really critical as we move toward this, or even thinking about it, that we consider some type of community advisory group where you can have regular input from the public. But I know this was one of their concerns as we were meeting around talking about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric Garrett. Oh, I'm sorry, did you have a response?
I echo that, Councilwoman. I definitely heard for context, I just want to make sure that we're being clear. The engagement that we have been doing, the entire purpose of it is to gather input from the community to understand what positive things they'd like to see this development project bring to the community. And, the item you just listed about, engagement with the community in a formal way on a recurring basis, I've heard that same thing. So that's in the input we've been gathering.
Thank you. Eric Garrett.
Thank you, Chair. A follow-up question as it relates to the TIF. I know we're looking at doing this with waste management. Will the same conversation be had with Amazon and a few other companies that are interested in coming into our city?
We, as at this point right now, there was no discussion of a TIF agreement with the developer for Amazon, or it's just not part of. We don't own the property. They're buying it from somebody else. They're funding it.
Here we go.
We had not had those conversations yet. So as of right now, the schools would get would go into the general taxes being paid and benefit the community as taxes normally are paid.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
I would like to just add one thing, just as far as the timing goes, the lawyer and me still.
Oh, good.
What we're asking for right now is it's an ordinance that allows us to get into the chain of title and send it back out. Normally, we would do that at the same time that we did a development agreement, and we would bring that all to you at once. But in this situation, because of the community involvement, and we're not sure what those community benefits look like yet, we're taking a preliminary step which is needed to freeze the value of the property as vacant property. So we get into this, we are going to take a deed and we're going to pass a deed back out. We will be back to you with development agreement and in 2-3 years probably with the ultimate. If you remember a couple weeks ago when we did the TIF ordinances for the Bowery and the 159 project, I mean, and then council will have say in what that goes to at that point in time.
Thanks.
So,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, Councilman Garrett has his hand raised.
Yes, Eric Garrett?
Thank you. One quick follow-up. As it relates to the Amazon that's located on Romick Road, a lot of the constituents on Romick Road are suggesting perhaps, hey, Amazon got a lot of the tax breaks, but a lot of the businesses up there are not seeing the same type of help and support. And so I guess what I was wondering if if we put together that TIF agreement, does that just apply for any other businesses in that area to perhaps maybe get some of that support?
Please be brief. I'm sorry,
I
we're
would
way
say this,
behind.
I mean, this
Sorry,
is
Eric.
for, this specific deal does not deal with the Romick Road facility or things in that area. Right now, all we are doing is getting permission to acquire and send out, send the property back to Waste Management. It's not doing anything else. It's just a deed being filed and a deed being filed.
Yes.
So the rest of that will come at a later date.
Yes. Cool. Thank you. I'm sure there may be more discussion on this. Is there a recommendation?
I'd still like to take a little time.
Okay. So
For me, I'd
refer?
like to recommend time, so I have time to catch up with Casey and some other people, just to get a fuller picture of what this is all about.
Very good. Is there a second?
Second.
All of those in favor to refer this item signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's it. Planning is over. Thank you all for your patience.
Our next committee today will be the Rules Committee. Those committee members are McKittrick, Fusco, Amobian, Connor, and Davis. We'll give everyone just a moment to get to their seats. Thank you.
Well,
Thanks for your patience, everyone. We're ready to begin the Rules Committee. Again, those committee members are McKittrick, Fusco, Amobian, Connor, and Davis. We do have all committee members present whenever you're ready, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Clerk Viviano. I would like to call the Rules Committee to order. We have previous minutes to approve. If I could get a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. We have one piece on our regular agenda. I'd like to continue time on this, short of any questions or comments from any council members.
Hi, Mr. Chair. I submitted a memo on Friday regarding this piece of legislation, specifically offering some language for 8.3, if I could pass out that memo to the rest of the committee.
For 8.3?
Yes.
Was that?
It's a portion of the resolution.
Part of this that was changed?
Yes.
Okay.
So I would just, remind the body that, again, in terms of public discussion of formal council business, that needs to be conducted in open meetings. Otherwise, we'd be in violation of sunshine laws. So to the extent that we're having substantive conversations, that's not appropriately had through private communications and emails like that. Would need to be discussed publicly in an open meeting. So just a reminder to everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Angeloni.
I would love to submit this to the committee if that's appropriate.
Well, it would be through legislation, right?
Mr. Fusco, go ahead.
Yeah, I think what we're saying is that should be through legislation in terms of the form of a legislative piece that would be advertised, if there's specific things, because I know we have to advertise those in terms of the public being notified. I think that's where we're getting to on the sunshine piece. Is that correct, Mr. Angeloni and or Sarah Biviano?
So my understanding of what Mr. Angeloni stated is that a memo is not sufficient.
Yes.
These need to be discussed in an open meeting.
But
So it would not be appropriate to submit a memo with projected changes. Do I understand that
piece
correct?
usually is brought in to discuss.
So council's typical procedure, which would be complying with Open Meetings Act requirements, is to produce a piece of legislation, which would then induce further conversation and discussion and debate in open meetings like that. And then from there, how that gets altered, amended, or passed or rejected is all open and in the public eye.
Counselor?
I don't want to be a pain. I just wanted to bring it for the committee to be able to understand. My understanding of the council rules allows us to be able to bring forward amendments and changes to policy while on the floor. So as a council person elected to this seat who has a concern, I just wanted to bring it before the committee if allowed to do so.
Didn't sound like it.
So, excuse me, so again, you're looking my way, so I'll just address it. So I would agree with the council person that to the extent that there is a discussion to be had at a committee, it would be up to the committee chair to allow a non-committee member to discuss business, but certainly allowable so long as it is in an open meeting such as this. Again, what we're trying to shy away from is anything that the public is not able to access in terms of official council business with a quorum. And so that's why we shy away from emails and things like that, because you can round robin and have those public discussions out of the public eye. But again, to the extent that you want to discuss that, that's properly in this forum, so.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. And I'll just pass this out, and I have a copy for the clerk as well. Thank you. If I may very briefly, Chair, obviously the piece of legislation before us introduces a couple pieces, amendments, changes, and additions to the rules. I just wanted to flag for council members and the committee the proposal and addition of Rule 8.3, specifically around the use of council logo, seemingly would prohibit council members from being able to use the logo for what is ordinary and common business, such as emails, email signatures, printed flyers, newsletters, social media, or other graphics, statements of position, memos, press releases from individual members, announcements regarding ward related updates, and many other things that are common business for individual members to produce with the city council logo. With which is usually expected not to have explicit permission from the president as well as a majority of the body. And just my last point on this, and I gave, suggested language that the committee might make a motion to adopt and adjust if they felt that was appropriate. But my last point is that many elected officials, individual elected officials for a variety of elected bodies, can submit a wide variety of materials and communications with council or with that elected body's logo and then their own individual name. And it's not to misrepresent the body's opinion or views, but it's just usually common in practice for communication. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments from any committee members or other council members? Councilwoman Amobian?
My comment is not related to what Councilman Wilson is bringing up at this particular time. My comment is a follow-up to the comments that I made at the last meeting. And it's unfortunate that we wait to the end of the year to do this, especially right before we change to possibility of office holders. But there were a number of points that I raised in the meeting last week, and I wanted to know how we would like to address. We abandoned the Committee on Committees, I'm not sure how long ago. But at least if we had that committee reinstated, it would lend more voices to the discussion about who's assigned to which committees and all those kinds of things. That's one. The second one I referenced last week was trying to put a limit on the number of terms an office holder can stay in an office. And I specifically talked about that last week. And what I wanted to do is provide some context in that we have a number of organizations. Summit County is one, where they did an amendment to their rules where they allow their person to serve in the presidency no more than 2 times, 2 years, full 2 years before they are not allowed to run again. And then I recall when I joined the school board of Akron, at one time there was one person who was president forever, and they changed the way they did their business. So it was a recommendation that we consider doing something differently. And those were the comments I made, and I wanted to know how we could go about doing that prior to going for elections in January, because we are right there now. Again, it's unfortunate to wait to this period to do that, but I think that those are some things that we need to seriously consider.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Are there any other committee members? Mr. Fusca?
Just in terms of ensuring that we're complying with the rules and everything, we are kind of swayed away from the way we typically do business here. The item that's on the old legislation, am I right on that? Because I can understand, I guess, this was brought in a while back, and typically before the end of the term, which it would be leadership's term, it would expire at the end of this year, and we would vote on it again next year. Typically in December, a lot of times is whenever we kind of look at this and review things. Also on top of that, if I could also say that at any time a rule change can be requested, I guess. And I think in terms of, a comment, I don't think it's in here about having any, I want to make sure I'm okay to do this because there's no legislation in front of us, but for, to have rules around getting a 2-year term, I guess it's okay to talk about that, I guess. I just don't see that as being a good way to operate for Akron City Council. I'll be honest with you. And maybe other organizations can go ahead and do that. I could tell you Cleveland, Canton, Youngstown, Toledo, Dayton, Columbus, Cincinnati, they don't rotate the presidency. I could tell you that. And I could tell you and we have a term limit. It's every 2 years. Every 2 years, we can vote in a new president if we so choose. We've so chosen not to. The other piece of it is and I'd like to speak to our president, Margot Somerville. It seems like, obviously there must be some dissatisfaction or something, but Margot Somerville came in at a time whenever Akron was talking about incivility on the floor of Akron City Council. That was the talk of the town at that time. It was all about incivility in these chambers. Whenever Margot Somerville was sworn in, it stopped. It stopped. It's due to the leadership of Margot Somerville. And since the time that she has come on, the commitments that she's made in terms of trying to move Akron City Council forward, in terms of technology, in terms of staff, in terms of communication, there's so many things that we've done that I've seen these last few years that President Somerville has been president. Sometimes, and I understand, a desire to change in terms of, every 2 years or what have you, but I think in Akron, it works. We all have an opportunity to change. Anytime one would wish to propose a change in leadership, they could do that. They can bring that to the floor anytime. So, and we have a 2-year term limit, I guess, is what one could say. And so all those councils since, what year was that? 2018, I believe. All those votes, and I don't know what the votes have been. I know a couple have been somewhat close, but all those councils in the past have supported Margot Somerville for president. And I would submit that she has done an outstanding job. I wouldn't want to see anyone else up there. And calming, especially during these times, whenever, it's fashionable to come into these chambers and just say whatever one wishes to, and it's okay. We want to hear what people have to say, but then again, conversely, it's not just Akron. It's across the board. In the United States of America, it's gotten this way through councils all over the United States. And so, me personally, I don't believe that I think that would hurt our city to have term limits for president and for leadership of council. And one other thing, real quick. Talking about committees, now we're going to talk about the committees. I'm relatively happy with the committees we have. What we have is, we have a fellow over here who is in charge of a committee who's an accountant. We have a person over here who's over the Public Safety Committee who's got like 30-some years in public safety. And we also have Linda Mobian, who's in the health industry, over our Health and Community Services Committee of City Council. And so I think we have a lot of good folks in places who are leading that committee, who's got the experience and who have been here for a while, as opposed to just falling right in and chairing a committee. I think that's a good way that it's based primarily on seniority. And so I stand in favor of leaving those rules as is as well.
Thank you, Councilman. Are there any committee members that haven't spoken yet, or any council members? Councilwoman Amobian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to make sure that this is nothing personal against Margot Somerville. I have served on a number of committees in my lifetime and in the other public service offices I've held. And it is true that you would probably feel that way, Mr. Fusco. You have been in the leadership of this council. During my 15 years here, you've probably been in leadership about 10 of those years. And let me just speak, you talk about the experience that people have that's associated with their chairmanships, but that's not how we have always done that. And we need to speak frankly. I have been the vice chair of the planning. I've been the vice chair of economic development. I've been the vice chair of budget and finance. And every time it's time to appoint a chair, we've appointed a white male to those positions. And when I asked you, I even called and talked with you to try to figure out what exactly is it that why I didn't get elevated to the budget and finance, because I had been the vice chair of that committee. You just said that you had given your support to Mr. Lombardo, and you don't necessarily need to have the experience of that committee to be a committee chair. I am a committee chair of the Health and Social Services. There's no legislation in my committee for the most part. Matter of fact, we're going to talk later today about a piece of legislation that's in public safety that should be in health and social services, but is in public safety. And I can't explain why you do things like that. But again, you have been particularly involved in most of those appointments. And I have to be honest with you. The presidency doesn't necessarily mean that you have order and all of that all of a sudden, because I think we've had a lot of that in place over the years. But I have been the beneficiary of this quid pro quo situation we've had downtown the whole time I've been down here. If you're in a leadership position, you can offer someone the chairmanship of a committee if they want it, or you can place all your friends, which you've done, in these committee chairs. So let's not pretend that we have this kind of order going on. We have this quid pro quo that we've had for years down here. And as in any committee, any organization, the presidency should change at some point in time. We don't need lifetime presidents or lifetime vice presidents down here. But as long as you're in a position where you can dole out titles and positions and chairmanships, you will hold on to that. So again, I am suggesting that we return to the committee on committees, and a committee of committees, and I will be the one to put the legislation together or ask the legal department to do it by next week. But again, we only have one meeting before the end of the year. So it's not that we don't need to change. We do need to change. There needs to be change wherever for fresh ideas, new thoughts, and new way of doing things. We have some people down here with 2 and 3 committee chairs, which doesn't make sense because no one can do that. And it shouldn't be done that way. So as long as you're in a position of leadership, those kinds of things stay in place and they shouldn't.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Go ahead.
Is there anybody else who has not spoken?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to bring to Councilwoman Amobian's attention that on our agenda, both items are before you to be voted on. 1, committee on committees, and 2, term limits. I just wanted to bring that to her attention.
Thank you, Council President. Anybody else who has not had an opportunity to speak? Mr. Fusco?
No, I'm good.
You're good?
Thanks.
Okay. Do I have a recommendation for continued time? You have a motion to refer, continue refer. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We will move on to the remainder of rules. We have 5 pieces to come before us. The first piece is a resolution recognizing the courage, sacrifice, and service of those veterans within the city of Akron and celebrating the important work of U.S. Army veteran Lawrence Williams and his tireless advocacy for veterans and declaring an emergency. Councilperson Garrett.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity. Just doing a follow-up from last week. My colleagues asked that we take time and we separate these 2 pieces. Once again, just wanted to reiterate Lawrence Williams' work, his dedication to not only veterans throughout the city of Akron, but folks just surrounding. He was a tireless person who worked just so that veterans would be seen, heard, and valued. And so we would like to move forward with this piece of this resolution. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate your patience on this and all the work you've put into it. Is there any committee members have any comments, questions? Any other council members?
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, Councilwoman Davis has her hand raised.
Councilwoman Davis, thank you.
I just want to thank Mr. Garrett for working hard to bring this together, and also Mr. Williams for his tireless advocacy. My husband, too, was a Vietnam veteran, so it hits close to home, and I hope we can get this passed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. There are no other comments or questions. Can I get a motion for suspension of the rules? So moved. Is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second for suspension of the rules. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Garrett. The next piece we have is a resolution amending resolution number 3732023 to implement, supplement, and/or amend Rule 2.5 of the Rules of Procedure for the City of Akron City Council and declaring an emergency. I'll yield to the sponsor.
Thank you so much, Chair. I have an exhibition that I would like to hand out.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that is just an exhibition of a few of the new pieces of legislation that I put forward today. So thank you for the discussion. Before you is a rules change for Rule 2.5, which details the term of office for council leadership, which is elected by council every even year or 2 years at the first meeting or end of December of the year. This proposal would add a limit to the number of years and terms to council representatives who can serve for president, vice president, and pro tem. Terms are 2 years currently. This would limit to one single term of 2 years, add a period of 2 years for our break, and then allow leadership to return. My understanding of the law and rules are that this would not be retroactive, so this would begin once implemented. This would take effect after passage and implement with the latest addition for our leadership. Other Ohio jurisdictions, including Summit County Council, Stowe County Council, Norton County Council, or City Council, has such limits. County Council, as a few of you have discussed already during this committee, has a limit of 2 consecutive one-year terms with no returning allowed. Stowe Council has and maintains a limit of 3 terms or 12 years. And Norton Council maintains a limit of 1 or 2 one-year terms. This amendment would allow for different leaders and representatives to have a chance to lead council and to serve the community from a higher leadership level. In my opinion, this is supposed to be an empowering and a fair addition to our rules. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from any committee members? Councilwoman Davis.
While term limits may sound appealing in theory, in practice, they do undermine effective governance and hurt the residents we serve. Leadership continuity is essential. Our council leaders, the president, vice president, pro tem, they guide agendas, coordinate committees, and maintain relationships with city departments. These roles require experience, knowledge of rules, and an understanding of past decisions. Arbitrary 2-year limits disrupt all of that. Important projects, ongoing initiatives, and multi-year planning suffer when leaders are forced to rotate out simply because the calendar says so. Competence matters more than a rigid timeline. Elected council members should have the flexibility to choose their leaders based on ability, collaboration, and proven results, not an arbitrary clock. We already have accountability built in through our elections. Residents can vote for council members who represent their values. Forcing the turnover at the leadership level reduces that accountability because it breaks continuity and creates unnecessary stability. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Amobian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, I support this legislation because I think it does exactly what I was talking about that we need to do. We need to limit the number of years a person can serve at leadership. And I hear all the things that Councilwoman Davis said, but the opposite can be true as well. Fresh ideas, fresh ways of doing things, fresh thinking, people with different agendas, and not being stuck in the old ways of doing things. And again, I believe that turnover provides the freshness and the newness that we need down here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Do we have any other committee members or council members that want to make any comments? Councilman Lombardo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I would have to totally disagree with this piece of legislation and agree with my colleague here, Councilwoman Davis, because, you know, when you basically start a new job, I mean, although you may have, you know, experience in that field, I mean, it takes a hands-on approach to learn, get better, you know, establish collaboration with your colleagues, and just shortcutting this just because, like Councilwoman Davis said, just because the clock says it's time to change, I don't think that would be effective for this body at all. So just not in favor of this at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other council members or Councilman Bolden?
Thanks. I have a couple things that concern me on this, and the justification of this ordinance. Comparing City of Akron to Norton and Stowe, who have far less council members and represent far less people. I look at this as when I look at the schools, you look at the Big Eight in Ohio, the ones of cities of comparable size and how they are run. And of those Big Eight, which I think Mr. Fusco mentioned earlier, they all do not have rotating leadership. And part of that is because we need stable leadership. We need leadership that has an agenda looking to move the city forward. We do have the opportunity for anyone to run for president. It's called elections. The same way you were just elected and won your seat, the way I won my seat, and all of us came here and won our seat. It's elections, but it's a smaller election, smaller pool of voters. All you have to do is get the support between those voters, and you can be president. And it's every 2 years. That option is up every 2 years. So that option is already on the table. I don't see why we need to mandate it by legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other council members, committee members, any other Council Representative Wilson?
Thank you so much. I appreciate the lively discussion, and I hope we can continue that. I understand the argument of continuity and that it might look different from, you know, the largest other cities, but respectfully, we are not those cities. You know, we are Akron, Ohio. We have our own set of circumstances and people in leadership and desires and hopes and dreams in this city. On the continuity side of things, I have not seen, you know, city council or county council put forward their own amendment to their own rules, right? So they put forward from their own leadership that restriction on themselves. And from my understanding, going to county council meetings since, they have not disintegrated, they have not, you know, failed in delivering the billions of dollars that they produce and let out into the community annually. In fact, they have been performing to key standards, right? I would also like to say that this amendment allows folks to continue to cycle through leadership, as is very common in this body. So you would start, you know, if you wanted to start with pro tem, do 2 years, and then you'd hit the limit. Then you could go to VP, hit the limit of 2 years, and then work up, right? So that allows a certain amount of continuity. Now, Continuity is important. Our terms as council members elected are 4 years, right? So technically, you'd be able to serve your entire thing if you wanted to in leadership, if you were able to convince folks to let you lead. But then if you were elected for a second term, you could return after a 2-year pause, right? So the return is something that is not a part of county council's rules, but it does allows a lot of flexibility. I think my last question for folks to consider, don't want to drag us out too long, is that if you wanted to be council president or council pro tem or council VP, do you think that you could do it with this current body? Do you think that a new person with a ton of experience, maybe in another realm, or formerly as a city councilor, could you step into these leadership positions? If your answer or inclination is no, then maybe we could think about why that is. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other comments or questions.
Mr. Chair, if
Yes.
I can, I'm just going to ask, we've been handed 2 different pieces of information, right before conversation. If there's information that you want this body to review prior to taking a vote or having discussion, just going to ask that this information could please be sent ahead of time, because it is a lot of information just to be received right here on the spot. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President.
Motion to refer.
We have a motion to refer. Is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second for referral. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Okay. We will refer that. The next piece to come before us is another resolution amending Resolution 373-2023 to implement, supplement, and/or amend Rule 3.3 of the Rules of Procedure for Akron City Council and declaring an emergency. I, again, will yield to the sponsor.
Thank you so much, Chair. Before you is a rules change for 3.3, which involves the appointment process for council committees. Every 2 years, council committees are determined at the organizational meeting of council. I will explain how this process used to go and how it was changed in 2020 and why maybe it should change again. In the exhibition, it is page 3 for additional materials that I will reference. In the past and historically, for well over 40 years before 2020, looking back at council archives dating back to 1984, council met at the first meeting or organizational meeting of the year. The president would select 4 members with the most seniority to make up a temporary committee called the Committee on Committees, which has been brought up a couple times last week and this week. The 4 members plus the president, so that's 5, would meet to appoint council members to committees, chair seats, and vice chair seats. But in late 2019, 2020, that rule was changed when a new city council was elected into leadership from the 2019 election. These rules changes removed a very long-standing, again, 40-plus years, of what was the Committee on Committee from the rules, creating a rule that would create that the president, vice president, and pro tem would essentially appoint anybody who was selected for committee and vice and chair seats for committees. This, in effect, cut out what was historically, for 40-plus years, a 5-person temporary committee down to 3 people to choose leadership positions and committee assignments. This proposal before you would reestablish the Committee on Committees, but would make some equitable improvements to that historic and very widely commonly used use of appointment on committees. So the 3 diversity and equity standpoints for this Committee on Committee and piece of legislation before you is number 1. This would randomize the selection process for the committee. by having the president draw names out of a hat or another container. Randomization can break up any sort of political scheming and or unfair seniority rules that might cut new or in-between members out. Number two is it would create an avenue for council members to submit preferences of appointments to the clerk, which currently is not a thing. Say that one member has been itching to be a part of the Parks Committee. They love parks and they would like to be on that committee. They could submit to the clerk and then be considered. The third and last point that is important for this piece of legislation is that it establishes a committee on committee to take into account preference of also diversity of geography, demographics, and seniority, so that our committees could look as diverse as Akron is. Committee on committee structures is a very, very well-established rule, not only in Akron, but is also a fixture in a lot of elected bodies. We have a couple in the exhibition that I printed out for you. All in all, this reopens the playing field for what is and has been a quiet and not so transparent, in my personal opinion, council process that has an immense impact on the workings of council every single day. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Council Representative. Are there any questions, comments from any committee members? Any council members? Oh, Councilman Hanna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Did you by chance look at the last rules that were changed November the 17th, 2023?
Yes.
So why would you make a change in less than 2 years? That was in 2023, and now you want to make a change in 2025. And these changes and the rules were, well, some of the council members, I wasn't here, but the council members were Holland, Mayor Malik, Mosley, Neal, and Ann Omobian. And so I think she's on board with you as far as the rules are concerned, changing the rules of council. Why would you want to change them in less than 2 years?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And so our organizational meeting will happen either the last meeting of this December or the first meeting of January 2026 per council rules. So typically it has been practice for legislation for any rules changes to come in before that organizational meeting happens, which is the timing of this legislation. So this is very common for legislation like the other rules pieces that are coming before you and that are in the works. This is very common on that timeline.
Thank you, Councilman Hanna. Any other, Councilwoman Linda Mobian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I certainly concur with the proposal, the recommendation. And I've talked about this before. We need more than just 3 voices making these decisions. I'm not really sure why it was changed in the first place. But we need the committee on committee back again. I think it gives us more opportunity to discuss, more opportunity to hear from all council members about their preferences, and give us more to think about as we make those assignments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other council members or committee members? Okay, do we have a recommendation from the committee?
Refer.
Have a recommendation for a referral. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to refer and a second. All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Could you do a roll call, clerk?
Sure. McKittrick,
Aye.
Fusco, Amobian,
Nay.
Connor, Davis. The motion to refer passes 4-1.
Thank you. The next piece to come before us is a resolution amending Resolution number 373, 2023, to implement, supplement, and/or amend Rule 3.4 of the Rules of Procedure for Akron City Council and declaring an emergency. Again, I will defer to the sponsor.
Thank you so much, Chair. Before you is a rules change for Rule 3.4, which involves committee chair and vice chairs. Currently, there are a number of individuals who sit on multiple committees in leadership, while most of council does not hold any type of leadership position on committees. The legislation would limit each member to not holding more than one chair position and one vice chair position on committees. Now, why is this important? This would allow a variety of voices to be at the table and members to be able to step up into respective leadership positions of their choosing. This allows folks who are particularly passionate about one or two niche and critical areas for them to be able to have a better chance of leading those committees. Just looking at the counts of current leadership and committees, we'll see that currently there are three members that hold two chair positions, and two of those three also hold multiple vice chair positions. One even holds 3 vice chair positions, and the other holds 2 vice chair positions. With 9 committees, which is soon or proposed to be 8 standing committees, this repetition of council leadership in both the chairs and the vice chair seats limits the ability for individual members to be able to step up into leadership. Let's see. It also makes sure, this legislation also makes sure that not a single governing faction would have specific control over all of the committees or even a majority of the committees. Long term, this would create buy-in from council members. If we are able to get positions of leadership, we might be able to, want to invest more in this body and the work that we do serving people. Thank you so much for allowing me to present. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Representative. Do we have any comments, questions by any committee members? Councilwoman Amobian.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. It just makes sense. There are 13 people on City Council, and everybody on council ran because you were concerned and interested in serving the community. And obviously, you were considered to be leaders. That's why people elected you. There's no reason why we couldn't have a variety of people serving at the leadership of those committees and to begin to create the committee in the way that you want to have it seen, as opposed to whatever it has been. So there's just absolutely no reason why people who are serving on city council cannot assume a chair, a vice chair, and there's no need to wait a year or two to get that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Fusco.
Thank you. The last term, and some of us, with all respect, the last term, some of us were here, and if we recall correctly, 5 new members were sworn in. 5 new members that did not have experience on any committees whatsoever. So, personally, I think it's, and we do kind of, I don't know what term you want to use, but we reward or we recognize, I guess is a better term, experience and moving up the ladder based on experience. And that's typically what's done. And that's the way it's been. We found ourselves in a tough situation, and then shortly after that, Ward 1 was a vacated spot, and that automatically went to Sam. But regardless, again, you have 6 new members altogether, and like I said, we were kind of at a tough spot in terms of, you got people with experience who's been around for a spell, and people, and president is automatically out of play because the president is on all committees ex officio, I think is a term, I don't know, the attorneys can weigh in, but, so we were restricted in terms of how many folks that we could, I mean, giving out to somebody new who doesn't have experience, that's not the way we've operated. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but, I think there's a lot to be said for that. And especially whenever you have individuals with experience within a committee title, I guess. So that, I just want to explain that so you understood. This is how, this last term, where we were at and how we got here. Thought that was important. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman. Any committee member that has not had a chance to speak as of yet? Councilwoman Mobian.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. I found in my lifetime that the best way to learn is to do the job. And one of the things that I learned when I first got on Akron City Council is that I was appointed to a chairmanship. And I was the person who represented the board that brought in the International Baccalaureate program to the school district of Akron. And that program has been in existence since I left the school board, and it's an international program. And we had no one with any prior experience in doing that. But, I was an educated person, and I figured I could go in and figure that out. But the work is usually done by the staff. And I can only tell you that I've learned over the years the best way to learn the job is to do the job. When I was president of a school board, I signed the legislation with the city of Akron to create this $800 million school district that we all enjoy these days. So again and again, the best way to learn the job is to do it. And again, there's nothing magical about these positions. And you have lots of staff. You see the staff in the background there who are always available to chairpersons, vice chairpersons, to any council member to help us, trudge along. So that's only my comment. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Connor.
Let me just say something along with what Councilman Fusco said. I was one of those 5 new people, and I thought I knew a lot before I got here. Many years working in my neighborhood, many years being an advocate for Goodyear Heights. I came to council and realized there was a lot I didn't know. Unlike some people, I had a full-time job during that time. I did not have the time to be down here at council meetings and watch how things work. So as a new person, the learning curve was just on learning the job and maintaining all that communication with the residents. To me, it would be very difficult to come in as a chairmanship or even a vice chairship on your first term, because there's so much to learn. Policies, procedures, thank goodness for our clerks who give you the eye when you do the wrong thing and point you in the right direction. But I think the other 5 people that came along when I did probably felt the same way, because it was 2 to 3 years before any of us moved up in a committee standing. And I think you need that time if you're going to do it right.
Thank you, Councilwoman. We have a motion to refer. Is there, I'm sorry. Oh,